Okay, welcome back, guys. We are live again. So I'll go ahead and invite Sure. So let's see here. I hope it works this time. So I'm gonna be sharing the link with him. This is gonna be a really, really good interview, guys. Like that's why it's kind of taking a little bit longer, but I think we'll get figured out now. Do this to okay. There we go. All right, so join us again. So there's a lot of things going on just with the protests in general. People have been asking questions, like what's going on? Is this going to end? Now, in different parts of the country, like the experience are different. I know for one, like in the southwest, things have calmed down a little bit, like it's kind of died down. But then in the north, it's a different story where there's still people protesting. The I think the Yobe government house was breached. I know some properties were burnt for some senators, like in Jigawa, and there's been just so much going on, and it's hard for us to keep track. Where we've been talking to a lot of people about it, and I think what we're finding out is the Nigerian youth are fed up. The Nigerian youth want a change. The Nigerian youth want something different. They want something fresh, and unfortunately, I think, in my opinion, the way things work, since this is a democracy, you can't just democracy. You just can't force your way, or you can't just say we want this now and then you get it. It's just it needs to be a situation whereby you have to wait for the next, you know, it's what 14 months now. So 4 years. That's 48 from 14. So about 26 or so. I don't know the math, but you get. I mean, we have to wait for the process. But is the president listening? Is he willing to compromise? Is he willing to make those changes? And I think part of the questions I'll be having today for my guest is this something that can be implemented right away? They have a 15-point agenda, but that 15-point agenda, I don't think is something that can be done immediately. I think it needs to be a situation whereby we have to, I hate to use the word dialogue, but we'll have to have that dialogue back and forth. And it needs to involve the lawmakers. There are some things that the president cannot unilaterally decide. He just can't do that alone. So he needs the lawmakers, and it needs people to be able to carry that out. The president can't just sign something into law by himself, because there are three arms of government. Nigeria is a democracy, and in that democracy, you have the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. So the legislative, they legislate, they make laws. That's their job. They're the ones who make all the laws. So really, you can't say, well, you want him to do something. And what I've been seeing is people are just saying, okay, there is. People are, oh, there is. I think I heard that. So that works now, I guess. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if you
Oh my
can hear
God,
me.
look at that. I can hear you now.
All right.
We definitely had a, yeah, we had a communication glitch. So, all right, we're live. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy and also equally very honored that you're able to join me. So let's make it full screen. Yeah, I think that was a glitch. I think it's my beta. Yeah, that was a glitch in the beginning there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we just have to get out and go back in. Cool. So how is everything with you? How are you doing? How is the security, going on? And are you safe? You just the general situation for those of us who are not, in the northern Nigeria. Yeah.
Well, I am safe, but we are not here to discuss physical safety or mental safety. We are here to discuss our own community safety from hunger, starvation, poverty, insecurity that has been racked on our people by corruption. So that is the safety we are all seeking, social safety.
Okay, cool. So I mean, I say you just want to get into it. So let's get right into it. There are some people saying that this is a faceless protest, that the protest has no face. So how do you respond to that?
The protest wasn't meant to have a face. It was not meant to have an impact, and it has delivered that
Okay.
101%. So
Okay.
anybody who is looking for a fish can find them on the streets.
Okay. So
Nobody who is participating in this protest is wearing masks. And there have been millions of people across Nigeria that have been doing this for the last 10 days. I mean, 9 days now.
yeah.
Yes,
So no, by no face, I think what they mean
8
is that,
days.
yeah, by no face, I think the question I'm trying to get to is there's no one who is particularly the head.
No,
There's no,
let me tell you what they are trying to do when they
yeah.
it's a narrative they frame when they cannot find somebody to bribe to stop the protest. That's what they mean by facelessness.
Okay. Okay.
If they can't find somebody to bribe or blackmail or smear or threaten or arrest to stop the protest, they'll tell you it's faceless. That
Okay.
is the context in which they mean facelessness. The same people
Okay.
who are saying the protest is faceless has arrested a lot of people who are well-known organizers. Every day we're on TV, we're on the internet discussing what is the next level. How can you say we're faceless? But you have to understand the context in which they mean faceless. They can't find anybody to hold who can help them hold or stop the protest. That's the meaning of faceless in their own dictionary.
Okay. Then the other question I have is there seem to be some, I'm going to use a strong word, disorganization, because in the north they seem to be like there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of destruction, there's a lot of just mayhem. So how is government able to see this? I mean, it's a legitimate protest, obviously, but how is the government able to see it as such? Where houses are being burnt, they are going into government state house and causing destruction. Which, by the way, in the US, might I remind you, something like that happened and a lot of people that who did stuff like that are put back behind jail. And that's the January 6th,
Please, I don't know how you are framing this, whether we are framing it as it is truthful or you are framing it from the point of the government. There is no destruction that took place. The destructions and chaos you saw was caused by government the first day. They are the ones who went in and started shooting at people. The one you saw in Kano was organized by politicians from the APC. They brought in people from Jigawa. The people who are protesting have shown over these last 8 days that they are organized. Even when people were shot, they went and buried their dead and continued. When people are jailed, they didn't allow you to stop them. They have their lawyers handling that. So there's nobody who is engaging in this protest that has destroyed a thing. It is the government. Even the army went to kill the 16-year-old. They're begging them in Zaria.
yes, I saw
Because,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important that we keep that in mind when we're having conversations like this. It is the government that's killed over 40 people. You saw that video in Kano
I did, yeah.
where people were peacefully protesting in Kano of all places on a Saturday last week, and government came in there and started shooting at them. See videos from Bauchi where they shot in Azari, Bauchi, they shot a guy execution style on the street. Have you not seen the
Okay.
video?
I saw that video, but I'm going to challenge you on that.
Yeah.
That video, the resolution is very old. I actually was going to upload that video,
Well,
but
when you say the resolution is old, do you have any
I was
information
told
that
that
it is
Boko
not?
Haram. I don't have any information, but I don't think
It's not. That wasn't Boko Haram. That was police. There was a police vehicle there.
there were
Okay,
people
and
missing.
there was wait now. There was another video. This time I think was Katsina, where a police that was driving a water cannon bus, I mean truck, rammed into another police in a truck.
Mhm.
Do you see that one too?
I didn't see that one. Yeah.
Well, you should ask some of members of your audience. So,
Okay.
what is important and what I keep framing to you is that let's assume you don't believe the video that we just mentioned. At least you know
Yes,
that a 16-year-old guy was killed in Kano
that I
and
know.
in Zaria.
Zara.
There was a killing that happened last Saturday in Kano. So there were the killings that happened in Kaduna. You saw that one that people were in front of the government house and they were
I
just
saw
carrying
that.
leaves and they were
Yeah.
saying, please, please, police, don't shoot. So
Yes.
I'm trying to contextualize the chaos you are describing that it didn't come from protesters. It came from the government, not the
Okay.
protesters. It is the
So
government that, and you saw journalists being beaten up in Lagos, right? And
Yeah, so
you saw higher talks in Port Harcourt beating up people,
I
right?
saw that. Can I ask
So you have all these videos, and you know it didn't come from the protesters, right? The protesters were
why
the victims.
why would the legitimate government be going after a protest that is faceless if they can disorganize the protest? And if this is what they are doing, they are planting, there's nobody to really hold accountable other than the three gentlemen that came out and went after. So for me, I'm trying to push that, kind of push back and say, well, I think the government has a lot to prove. The burden of proof is on them. But the argument that the government is instigating people only can go so far. And
I don't know
because
why. I don't know what evidence you need anymore. To be saying that government we can't prove. I've given you proof of how government has been the one creating chaos. The question you asked me is about chaos and destruction. I'm saying this, it was instigated by government. They know how to do that. The Nigerian government has always instigated chaos during peaceful protest. They did it during NSAS. Are you telling me
NSAS is
that?
different.
No, no,
NSAS is
wait,
different.
wait. Are you telling me that the guys waving the Nigerian flag and singing national anthem at NSAS were chaotic as well?
NSAS is different. We're not talking about NSAS.
No, no,
NSAS
but there's no difference. What the argument,
is the same Nigerian flag.
the conversation we're having is where did chaos and mayhem come from? And I'm giving you instances of how the chaos and mayhem came from. You said we can't push the argument far. How far would they need to go before we can push the argument?
The argument I'm making for any logical person, again, it's not like I'm on the side of the protesters. And if you saw some of the videos we've been doing, the argument I'm just trying to make is, why would the government instigate and kill and do all these things? Which, again, by the way, I know in the beginning they were paying 5,000. That when people came out, but they are going as far as killing people when there's nobody to arrest or there's no face. So I mean, the thing I like about this protest is that it's faceless, to be honest with you. But I just think it'd be some certain sense.
It is not faceless. We should not be saying that it's faceless. There are the people who are protesting are the faces of the protest. The hungry people who came out in their millions. They are human beings. They are faces. Don't say it is faceless.
Yes, thank you
Maybe
for
like
that.
what you mean is that there's nobody claiming responsibility or leadership for it. But there is leadership. It's just that the leadership this time around is not lousy. Protests that are organized by celebrities are different from protests that are organized and done by people.
Mhm.
So it's the ordinary people that are in charge of their destiny. They are the ones protesting. So since there's no celebrity now that's involved, none of them has gone near the protest, maybe that's the reason why you're saying it's faceless.
Yeah,
Maybe
some
because you don't see any big names, But this is big hunger, you know, with common people fighting.
So no, thank you for that. Some people say I'm shifting gears here. Some people say that the opposition is who is behind it. The opposition, you yourself, you're a presidential candidate, you contested, and I mean, what would you say to them if they say the opposition is trying to disrupt?
Uh, Look, every government that has been confronted with their folly blames somebody else. They say Nigeria is even a global disease or syndrome. They
Mhm.
always had to blame somebody. And if you say I'm one of the organizers, I don't deny it. I'm a convener of the movement that's in the front and back of it. So, are there issues of hunger, poverty, corruption, insecurity, and employment in Nigeria? Yes.
We all know
Should
that. Yes,
should they be addressed? Of course.
absolutely. Yeah.
Are these people showing any sign that they are willing to address it? No, because you don't do that by increasing electricity tariff, fuel prices, and then you ruin your currency, knowing
Mm.
that most of your citizens depend on, imported food and
Hmm.
clothes and services to function, and then you don't have your energy system in place. Since this protest, the national grid has collapsed twice. So, why are they looking for excuse? Why don't they blame themselves for mismanaging the economy? But that's Africa leaders for you. They're always looking for scapegoats instead of addressing the real social, political, and economic issues affecting the people.
Thank you. So the other question that I have for you is, uh, you guys came out with a 15-point agenda. You know, in Nigeria, there's the legislative, judicial, and then there's the executive. I've seen a lot of videos with the protesters saying Tinubu can do this with a biro. He can just strike with a pen and just get it done. And I think there's some misinformation. Again, it goes back to leadership so that people can understand that these things are not. There's a national budget that was put in place by Buhari. It's not just something, there's
I
a
don't know. I don't know why you're spending your time defending this government. Is this like an NTA program?
No, no, it's not. No, no,
What is
no.
the misinformation? Let's go to it
I'm
so
just
that
trying
we
to
can
I'm
answer.
trying to
What is
challenge
the mis? Okay, can we go to the misinformation you have
the
so that we can
misinformation is
address
that
it?
people. Again, I'm not pro-government either. I've seen some of
No,
videos.
no. I'm just saying you're sounding like an NTA
No, no,
presenter
no.
to
This is
me.
not the National Artificial Authority. But thank you for that,
Yeah.
for challenging that as well, for pushing back. All I'm just saying is, for those who
What
are
is the
out
misinformation that you are
there
concerned
who are
about? Let's,
watching this, misinformation is that people on the streets are
yes.
saying that Tinubu can just use a biro and just sign this and it will happen. The first subsidy with a pen, they can just do this. Talk about the enters release of some of the protesters, they can just sign a pen. And so there are a lot of things. The naira
But
devaluation,
that's not misinformation.
it
Do you know
can.
why people are saying that? He was the one who decided to remove fuel subsidy. So to change it, he's the one that needs to make a simple announcement that we're reverting back to what will not make life hard. He's the
But how
one
about the role of the
who
legislation? The legislature.
what did he go to the legislative arm when he removed fuel subsidy? No, he announced it the day he was sworn in at the Eagle Square. He's the one who unilaterally said the central bank governor he appointed should float the naira. He
Man,
didn't go to the legislative arm. Are you getting my point? And when it comes to the legislative arm, people have seen them do things in few hours. When he wanted to increase the number of years for the IG, it was done in one day. When he wanted to buy a presidential jet for $100 million, did he contact you? Did he contact the legislative arm? When they sent
well, it
90
was
billion
approved
naira,
in
wait
legislation.
now, wait, just calm yourself, just calm down. That's
Okay.
why I'm asking if this is an NTA program, so that I would have prepared myself, for it. So when when they sent 90 billion naira for people going to Hajj, did they go to the legislative arm? No. But most importantly, the reason why Nigerians are out on the street today is because they've lost faith in all these institutions you are talking about. They've lost faith in INEC to conduct free and fair elections,
Well,
lost
that's some
faith,
questions I have for you,
yes,
INEC.
lost faith in the legislative arm because they're a rubber stamp. They've lost faith in the monetary policy section because of what they did to the naira and the national currency. They've
Mhm.
lost faith in the judiciary because they are always also endorsing through their activities or actions fake elections, and
Mhm.
they are the ones who they will take people to court and they say they stole billions. The next day they free them and they're back as governor. These are Pabio's, the president of the Senate. He had allegations of over 800. I think it's about 100 and something billion when he was governor. And when he went to Niger Delta as minister, more billions were stolen. He's not prosecuted. The person who they declare wanted from Kogi State, Yaya Bello, they can't find him to arrest him. Suddenly, EFCC cannot find him. And we have been told that he was escorted out of the country by the DSS through with the collaboration of immigration. So when simple things cannot be done by these institutions, you don't have a right to be asking the citizens to have faith in them. That is why protests break out. That is why you saw what happened in Kenya and
Mhm.
Uganda. So
With
people
Russia.
want to change their objective conditions without having to wait for compromised institutions. There's no other way to discuss it than just tell the truth about these institutions, and don't tell me that Tinubu cannot do anything about this. When those things that affect his interests, personal interests, he gets them passed in a matter of minutes. So, and I've given you some of the examples, and that how is it that these things are impossible? It is when something is going to be good for the Nigerian people that there's bureaucracy. But when it is the ruling class or the Nigerian elite, there's no bureaucracy. While we were at this conversation about, making life easier for the people, Dangote also became an activist
mm,
and was complaining about his refinery. Within 24 hours, they have resolved this problem. We have
mm.
been at our own now for 8 days. Nobody has answered to one of the demands. Instead, they sent police or start shooting at people, army killing people, and now they are arresting and detaining people, young and old. So, what is it so difficult to address the issues that we're talking about that requires all these bureaucracies that you're talking about?
Okay, so thank you. I hear what you're saying. I agree with you. And what you are trying to say is that the president needs to have the will. There needs to be political will, which he can just say, well, this is what we have to do. Then he has to gather the group and gather, the legislation to be able to do that. So, but moving on, you mentioned INEC. I personally, as a Nigerian, I expected that once he got into power, would have asked the INEC chairman to step down or something of that nature, given how bad the last election was and how INEC failed all of us Nigerians. So what do you make of that? Because you talk about corruption and
It's part of the demands. It's part of the 15 demands that the chairman
yeah.
should be
So
sent packing, and that all the national members, they call them national commissioners of INEC, should be removed because majority of them are members of the APC. There's no way INEC as a body can organize, as it's presently considered, can organize free and fair elections. It's part of the
so
demands.
okay. So if I ask if you had of your 15, what if the government come back and say they can only do one? Hypothetically speaking,
That's why we said non-negotiable. Before we can talk about anything else, you have to do the 15.
is there a timeline or a deadline or like in a month, or because some of this have to be gradual?
No, you are the one who kept saying that this thing needs to be gradual. Are you talking to government and government told you they cannot do it? Of course, no. Have you
Mm,
spoken to them and they said they don't want to do it? Probably yes. But
mm.
the timeline will be determined by situational variables. When the first 10 days is done on Saturday, we'll meet again and announce fresh action.
Okay. Are you
We're not going to look back until we win.
okay? Are you concerned? Are you concerned about the fact that in other parts of the southwest, like Lagos, I know that there's been some movements and people are going about their day. I mean, again, we talked about leadership earlier. Is there any concern from you that once people, some people have to go to work, things have to move, even in the northern part of
I
Nigeria?
I
Does
I
that
think there's been protests in Lagos up to Monday, and it's going to resume pretty soon.
okay?
The people of Lagos are not complaining. In fact, on the first day of protest, people sat at home on their own. They didn't come out the whole
Mm,
street, and that was to honor the protest. So
mm,
people who didn't come to the protest stayed at home. So
mm.
the people of Lagos are not complaining, and if they were to complain, we would hear them out and work on those complaints. But nobody has disrupted traffic flow except in areas where we're having a protest. And if that would occur, it will happen because the people themselves will join everywhere, and they have joined and done well so far. So that's our least concern. You know, this is existential in nature. I mean, the struggle. So it can't wait for another. Can't wait for another time.
There's some people, again, rumor has it that some external people are funding the operation, people from overseas or people from outside Nigeria. I mean, is there any credibility to that you're aware of? Because I was watching
Yes,
you.
I'm aware that the program is well funded by hunger, insecurity, unemployment, lack of opportunities for people, lack of healthcare, bad roads, and very low minimum wage.
The government came out
La-
yesterday and said they've frozen some
lack
accounts,
of
some
lack of
people.
payment of pension for retired workers. Those are the people funding the protests. I know
Okay,
them. And I've
okay.
asked the government to put them on their watch list. Don't let those subversive elements enter Nigeria or live in
Uh,
Nigeria.
Yeah. So just shifting gears a little bit. There's this Igbo must go, blah blah blah. What's your take on that? Is that, I mean, what's your take on
Is the Lagos State governor and Tinubu people that are doing that. And part of the reason they were doing that is to ensure that people from the southeast are scared not to participate in the protest.
that?
So they are
The
exerting their
governor
own
came out
form
and
of.
announced that. The governor came out and said that's not
Well,
true.
the guy who was tweeting it is has everybody in the APC in Lagos and governor's aides following him on Twitter, and some of them have even retweeted some of his tweets in the past.
Well, they used him for part of the campaigning, so I know of that. I know that part. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
so why would the governor say he's not aware of a person who has been closely linked with him? So he's aware of him, but
okay.
now their hand has been caught in the cookie jar. That's why you see them scrambling and
Mm.
scampering around.
What do you make of the oil refinery with Dangote and the whole saga, which you mentioned earlier? I wanted
I
to
don't
ask you.
care about Dangote. Dangote is part of Nigeria's problem. Um, and
How
they
is
are
he
all,
part of that's a big statement to say. If our external outsiders see him as someone who's trying to solve the problem of Nigeria,
no, he's not trying to solve the problem. The refinery itself was built on the back of Nigeria with Nigeria funding. Um, the problem with the refinery is that it was never completed. It was not designed to be completed because the source of dollar round tripping. So if you get $100 million at 300 naira to a dollar and you go and sell it for
mhm.
600, why would you want your refinery to be finished? He has already made his money from all those round tripping they are doing. So they know themselves. That's why you see it's easy for them to come out and reveal that his refinery never had a license, which he hasn't denied, and that is not complete, which also he hasn't denied.
Moving on to the Naira devaluation.
But can you believe that Nigeria president will go and commission a refinery that is not completed? That's Nigeria for you.
Okay, if we go back on that, I know that they said they will start production in August.
Which
At least
August?
they told the media.
This
This,
August?
yeah, that they will start production.
They've said that refinery will start production since Buhari commissioned it. They said it will start that year. That was 2023.
Mhm.
They've postponed. It will start for almost 10 times now.
Mm.
So
So Dangote is someone who some of us Nigerians actually envy because of the success
I
and the
don't
way.
envy him. I don't envy him. So let's talk about another thing, please.
Okay, then the Naira devaluation is the next thing on my list. Naira devaluation. What do you have to say about that? Because the president, in his speech, even though I agree that his speech was baseless and I don't work for NTA, his speech doesn't really have any substance per se. There are some things he actually mentioned. Part of it is reducing our debt servicing ratio, which is a very, very big factor. With Buhari was on 98%, was able to drop that to 68% or so, I believe. That's huge to the economy.
If
Again,
you
we keep talking about it because all
if
got talking about it. Go ahead.
if you are borrowing perpetually, as we speak, they're still borrowing. The people that are giving you the loans, are you not going to be servicing their debt as well? So if you claim that your debt to um, revenue
That's
ratio is,
yeah.
yeah, debt to this, there are two things, okay, in this debt, and so many of it is semantics, right? There's a
Okay.
debt to GDP. That is what he told you is 68%.
It's reduced. Yeah.
But the biggest one is debt to revenue. The debt to revenue remains very high. That is if the debt servicing is not even higher than revenue a lot of times. Because our revenue is tied to oil exploration and export. And a lot of countries are no longer even buying Nigerian oil. The US hasn't imported in a long time. So
Yeah, that
so there's a
started
difference between
uh
debt to GDP, which is the easiest one to bandy around, but there's also debt to revenue, which is the present uh, and the present danger to Nigeria, and that is because they keep borrowing. It's not like they stop borrowing. If they keep borrowing, that is going to always be a problem.
Yeah. The debt to revenue that you talk about, I want to say that because the debt is also higher because of the government expenditure, I think that's where a lot of that come from. So we are in agreement there. Talking about moving on to fuel subsidy, another big thing which is kind of huge.
I sent you a message that my next engagement is at 12:40, so I have 3 more minutes. If I will have
Yeah, of
to
course.
come
Yeah,
back
let's
to
keep
your
it up.
show.
Yeah.
I apologize
No, no worries. Yeah,
to
we
your
started late.
viewers. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
understand. Yeah, but I was going to ask you about the fuel subsidy, like
Yes.
getting the fuel subsidy. Like how quickly do you think that can be reversed, or how quickly do you think that can be brought back?
Well, fuel is, when I mean fuel, I'm talking about petroleum products.
Right.
Only petrol is subsidized right now. Kerosene is not
This was
subsidized.
no. Yeah.
Diesel is not
Right.
subsidized.
Yeah.
Jets A1 fuel
Good.
is not
Yeah.
subsidized.
Mhm.
If those unsubsidized petroleum products are not giving you El Dorado, what are you talking about? And even the petroleum subsidy they said they have now, we're hearing that the subsidy still. The Minister of Finance just said that they're still spending over $600 million every month to import fuel.
Mm. Yeah, I heard
So
about that. Yeah.
yes, that's what he said openly,
Mm-hmm.
and that's about 2 trillion naira every month to import fuel.
Mm.
Where does it go to? Because all of this is driven by corruption. One, there's an inflated figure of how many we use and how much goes to Nigeria. There's
Mm-hmm.
the issue of corruption of people who are not importing but who get subsidy paid to them. There's the issue of those who have access to customs and immigration who take fuel out of the country and then come and blame the people. Everything you say about fuel subsidy wasn't the problem of subsidy, it was the problem of laxity and criminality on behalf of government officials.
Mm.
Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with subsidy. Every country in the world subsidizes the vulnerable and poor. So there's nothing wrong, and that's why I never support removal of subsidy. And by the way, my time is up. If we could
Yeah.
just
Do
wrap
you
up
have
the
the last word for the protesters before you go? What's your
well,
last?
I'm calling on them to understand that everybody will be back for the grand finale of the first 10 days on August 10th. So please, protesters, dust your boots, your placards, and your courage, and we march once again around Nigeria's wall of Jericho. This time it must collapse.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
Omoyele
for
Sowore.
having me, man.
Anyway,
Thank you
thanks
so
thanks for
much.
being here. Really
All
appreciate
right.
it. Wish you guys all the best. Yeah. Thank you guys. That's the end of our broadcast, and we just really want to thank Mr. Shori for being here with us. Keep watching Battabox. If you've not yet subscribed, please do. Also, don't forget to like this video. We'll be bringing you more guests like this. Thank you so much, and we'll hopefully God bless Nigeria, and hopefully everything goes well. Thank you guys, and we'll catch you guys on the next live stream. Bye.